Hey guys, it's Miss Tarkington. This is First Chapter Friday, and today I want to read one of my favorite books ever. It's called Shiloh, and if you've read it, go ahead and see if you can find the movie because the movie's really good too. If we were in the classroom, we would read the story together, and then we would watch the movie, and then we would like compare and contrast the differences and the similarities between the two. All right, it's written by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. Let's go ahead and read the back of the book. It says, Marty will do anything to save Shiloh. When Marty Preston comes across a young beagle in the hills behind his home, it's love at first sight, and also big trouble. It turns out the dog, which Marty named Shiloh, belongs to Judd Travers, who drinks too much and has a gun and abuses his dogs. So when Shiloh runs away from Judd to Marty, Marty just has to hide him and protect him from Judd. But Marty's secret becomes too big for him to keep to himself, and it exposes his entire family to Judd's anger. How far will Marty have to go to make Shiloh his? All right, let's read the first chapter. It's not that long of a book, so you should be able to read it quickly. Maybe this summer you can get it as an ebook, or you can go to the library and check it out. The day Shiloh comes, we are having a big Sunday dinner. Dara Lynn's dipping bread in her glass of cold tea the way she likes, and Becky pushes her beans up over the edge of her plate in her rush to get them down. Mom gives us a scolding look. Just once in my life, she says, I'd like to see a bite of food go directly from the dish into somebody's mouth without a detour of any kind. She's looking at me when she says it, though. It isn't that I don't like fried rabbit. Like, it's fine. I just don't want to bite down on buckshot, is all. Hang on, I turned 2 pages. And I'm checking each piece. Buckshot is the little BBs that are inside of a bullet that's shot from a rifle. So whoever shot the rabbit, he's afraid there's little tiny BBs of metal from the bullet still in there. I looked that rabbit over good, Marty. You won't find any buckshot in that thigh, Dad said, buttering his bread. I shot him in the neck. Somehow I wished he hadn't said that. I pushed the meat from one side of my plate to the other, through the sweet potatoes and back again. Did it die right off, I asked, knowing I can't eat it unless it had. Soon enough. You'd shoot its head clean off? Dara Lynn asks. She'd like that. Dad chews real slow before he answers. Not quite, he says. He goes on eating, which is when I decide to leave the table. The best thing about Sundays is we eat our big meal at noon. Once you get your belly full, you can walk all over West Virginia before you're hungry again. Any other day, you start out after dinner, you got to come back when it's dark. I take my .22 rifle Dad had given me in March on my 11th birthday and set up the road to see what I can shoot. Like find me an apple hanging out on a branch and see if I can bring it down. Line up a few cans on a rail fence and shoot 'em off. Never shoot at anything moving, though. Never had the slightest wish. We live high up in the hills above Friendly, but hardly anybody knows where that is. Friendly's near Sisterville, which is halfway between Wheeling and Parkersburg. Used to be, my dad told me, Sisterville was one of the best places you could live in the whole state. You ask me, the best place to live, I'd say right here where we are. A little 4-room house with hills on 3 sides. Afternoon is my second best time to go up in the hills, though. Morning's the best, especially in the summer. Early morning. On one morning, I saw 3 kinds of animals, not counting cats, dogs, frogs, cows, and horses. I saw a groundhog. I saw a doe with 2 fawns and a gray fox with a reddish head. Bet his daddy was a gray fox and his ma was a red one. My favorite place to walk is just across the Rattly Bridge where the road curves by the old Shiloh schoolhouse and follows the river. River to one side, trees to the other, and sometimes a house or two. On this particular afternoon, I'm about halfway up the road along the river when I see something out of the corner of my eye. Something moves. I look, and about 15 yards off, there's this short-haired dog, white with brown and black spots. Not making any kind of noise, just slinking along with his head down watching me, tail between his legs like he's hardly got the right to breathe. A beagle, maybe a year or 2 old. I stop and the dog stops. Looks like he's been caught doing something awful. When I tell him he's really wants is to follow, when I can tell all he really wants is to follow along beside me. Here, boy, I say, and I slap my thigh. Dog goes down on his stomach, groveling on the grass. I laugh and start over toward him. He's got an old worn-out collar on, probably older than he is. Bet it belongs to another dog before him. Come on, boy, I say, putting out my hand. The dog gets up and backs off. He don't even whimper. It's like he's lost his bark. Something really hurts inside of you when you see a dog cringe like that. You know somebody's been kicking at him, beating on him, maybe. It's okay, boy, I say, coming a little closer, but he still backs off. So I just take my gun and follow the river. Ever so often I look over my shoulder, and there he is, the beagle. I stop, he stops. I can see his ribs, but not real bad. But he isn't plumped out or anything. There's a broken branch hanging from a limb over the water, and I'm wondering if I can bring it down with one shot. I raise my gun, and then I think about how the sound might scare the dog off. I decide I don't want to shoot my gun much that day. It's a slow river. You walk beside it, you figure it's not even moving. If you stop, though, you can see leaves and things going along. Now and then a fish drops, big fish, bass, I think. The dog's still trailing me, tail's tucked down. Funny how he don't make a sound. Finally, I sit on a log and put my gun at my feet and wait. Back down the road, the dog sits too, sits right down in the middle of it, head on his paws. Here, boy, I say again, and I pat my knee. He wiggles just a little, but he don't come. Maybe it's a she-dog. Here, girl, I say. Dog still don't come. I decide to wait the dog out, but after 3 or 4 minutes on a log, it can get boring, and I start off again. So does the beagle. Don't know where you'd end up if you followed the river all the way. Heard somebody say it curves about and comes back on itself. But if it didn't, and I got home after dark, I'd get a good whooping. So I always go as far as the ford where the river spills across the path, and then I head back. When I turn around and the dog sees me coming, he goes off in the woods. I figures that's the last I'll see of the beagle, and I get halfway down the road before I look back again, and there he is. I stop, he stops. I go, he goes. And then, hardly thinking on it, I whistle. It was like pressing a magic button. The beagle comes barreling toward me, legs going lickety-split, long ears flopping like a flagpole. This time, when I put out my hand, he licks all my fingers and jumps up against my leg, making little yelps in his throat. He can't get enough of me, like I'd been saying no all along, and now I'd said yes, he could come. It's a he-dog, like I thought. Hey, boy, you're really something now, ain't you? I'm laughing as the beagle makes circles around me. I squat down, and the dog licks my face, my neck. Where'd he learn to come if you whistle, and hang back if you didn't? I'm so busy watching the dog, I don't even notice it starts to rain. It don't bother me. Don't bother the dog neither. I'm looking for the place I first saw him. Does he live here, I wonder? Or the house up on the road? Each place we pass, I figure he'll stop. Somebody'll come out and whistle maybe, but nobody comes out, and the dog don't stop. Keeps coming even after we get to the old Shiloh schoolhouse. Even starts across the bridge, tail going like a propeller. He licks my hand ever so often, makes sure I'm still there, and mouth open like he's smiling. He is smiling. Once he follows me across the bridge, though, and on past the grist mill, I start to worry. Looks like he's fixing to follow me all the way to our house. I'm in trouble enough coming home with my clothes wet. My mom's mama died of pneumonia, and we don't ever get a chance to forget it. And now I got a dog with me, and we were never allowed to have pets. If you can't feed them and take care of them and take them to the vet when they're sick, you got no right taking them in, Ma says, which is true enough. I don't say a word to the beagle the rest of the way home, hoping he'll turn around at some point and go back. The dog keeps coming. I get to the front stoop and say, "Go home, boy," and then I feel my heart squeeze up the way he stops smiling, sticks his tail between his legs again, and slinks off. He goes as far as the sycamore tree, and he lays down in the wet grass, head in his paws. "Whose dog is that?" Ma asks when I come in. I shrug. "Just followed me, 's all." "Where'd you pick him up?" Dad asks. "Up in Shiloh, across the bridge," I say. "On the road by the river? Bet that's Judd Travers's beagle," said Dad. "He got himself another hunting dog a few weeks back." Judd got him a hunting dog. How come he don't treat him right? I ask. How do you know he don't? The way the dog acts. He's scared to pee almost, I say. Mom gives me a look. Don't seem to me he got any marks on him, Dad says, studying him from the window. Don't have to mark a dog to hurt him, I'm thinking. Just don't pay him any attention and he'll go away, Dad says. And you get out of those wet clothes, Ma tells me. You want to follow your Grandma Slater to the grave? I change my clothes and then sit down and turn on the TV, which only has 2 channels. Can y'all imagine? On Sunday afternoon, it's preaching or baseball. I watch baseball for an hour, and I get up, sneak to the window. Mom knows what I'm about. That Shiloh dog still out there? She asks. I nod. He's looking at me. He sees me there in the window, and his tail starts to thump. I name him Shiloh. All right, guys, so what do you think? Does that sound like a book that you'd like to read? And let me tell you, it's really, really good. The book is good and the movie is good. And we already learned that he wants to take Shiloh and protect him from Judd Travers because Judd's not mean, not nice. He's mean to his dogs, but it's going to get him in a whole lot of trouble. So this is one chapter after another of drama, lots and lots of action. I think you're really going to like it, especially if you're an animal lover. All right. I'll talk to you later, guys. I hope you like it. Check it out.